morning, everybody. I am Karthik Sharma, Managing Editor at Elets Technomedia. I welcome all of you at the second Diagnostics Leadership Summit by Elets Technomedia and eHealth magazine. I welcome all the eminent industry leaders which we are fortunate of having here in this inaugural session of Diagnostic Leadership Summit. I welcome all of them, and I welcome the audience which is watching us and joining us in the avatar platform of Elets Technomedia, which is virtual 3D platform by Elets Technomedia, and the audience which is joining us with a great speed to attend this inaugural session. I welcome all of them. Um, I welcome all the dignitaries and to deliver the formal welcome address, I request Dr. Ravi Gupta, founder and CEO of Elets Technomedia and editor-in-chief of eHealth magazine, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Karthik. And my thanks to all our inaugural speakers and the audience who have joined in. Uh, Let me briefly mention about Elets. Elets is an organization formed in 2003 and this magazine called eHealth, which was started in year 2005. And we have been running this magazine since then uninterrupted every month, except this COVID situation when the things changed and we had to go digital. So we are organizing this virtual summit on the diagnostic sector. Like this is the second edition of this event, and our aim is to bring together this fast-growing sector and how what are the challenges and opportunities for this sector will be discussing. So it's an honor to have our. Is my audio okay, Karthik?
Your audio is fine, but this return sound is coming from your
Yeah,
end.
I am okay. So by the time I like organize my audio, Karthik, like you can invite Dr. Arvind Lal to deliver the keynote address.
Your audio is perfect, sir. Your audio is perfect. I think it was
Perfect.
somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So let me request the doyen of this diagnostic sector in the country, Honorable Arvind Lalji, who is the executive chairman of Dr. PathLabs. He will be delivering our inaugural keynote address. Let me welcome him. Thank you, sir, for joining. We are honored to have you with us. I will welcome our next speaker, N. Venkateswaran ji, who is the CEO of National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Outreach, NABL. Welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us. Namaskar. Let me welcome Dr. Avinash Phadke, who is the founder of Dr. Avinash Phadke Labs and president of SRL Diagnostics. Welcome, Dr. Avinash. Thanks for joining us. EG on the screen, I think he's still like joining. And we have with us Dr. Ravi Gaur, who is the principal advisor Spice Health and the founder of G PathLabs. Welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Ravi Gaur.
Welcome. I'm here. Good morning.
Thank you. And we have with us our industry expert and industry leader, Suresh Vazirani ji, who is the founder, chairman, and managing director of TRANSASIA ERBA Group. Welcome, sir. Suresh ji, namaskar. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, great. And let me request Dr. Arvind Lal to kind of deliver your keynote address for around 10 minutes, sir. And we will have, first of all, speeches by each of the speakers, and then we will have the Q&A session. So again, with a great applause, it's an honor and a pleasure to have the doyen of this industry in this inaugural session, Dr. Arvind Lal. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Ravi Gupta. And Ravi, I'll take 15 minutes, not 10 minutes.
It's fine,
Please,
sir.
okay,
Fine, sir.
to
Perfect.
thank you very much. And thanks a lot for inviting me to address this August audience. I'm also delighted to welcome my esteemed scientific advisory panel members, Mr. N. Venkateswaran, CEO of NABL, and two of India's best known diagnosticians, especially pathologists, Dr. Avinash Phadke, Dr. Ravi Gaur, and last but not the least, my dear friend for nearly 50 years, Mr. Suresh Vazirani. So welcome all of you and the entire team of Elets for making this possible. So about the topic now. So in the last 2 years, the COVID-19 pandemic has infected 22 crore people across 220 countries and territories and killed about 45 lakh people. Thanks to modern medicine, mortality rate of COVID-19 at 2% is about 5 times less than the Spanish flu of 1918 and 1919 that claimed 5 crore lives. India has witnessed over 3.3 crore cases, that is almost 15% of global cases, and 4.4 lakh deaths, that is about 10% of the global deaths due to the COVID, and mortality rate of an acceptable 1.3%. No country has been able to eliminate COVID-19 so far, not even developed countries like the US and UK and others. In fact, many international public health experts and countries like Singapore have already accepted that COVID-19 may never disappear completely and shall reach a state of coexistence known as an endemic, like the HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C virus. While India was able to manage the first wave well, acute shortages of hospital beds, oxygen, ventilators, life-saving drugs, diagnostic test facilities, as well as trained healthcare professionals expose the harsh realities of the Indian healthcare system. As we learn to live with the COVID-19, we should leverage it as a transformational inflection point for Indian healthcare. Within healthcare, the diagnostic sector has played a very important role in the global response to the pandemic. As SARS-CoV-2 is a novel virus, the pandemic threw at us multiple concurrent priorities. We had to understand the pathophysiology of the disease, control its transmission, and devise effective treatment options. The starting point to do all this is detection and characterization of the causative agent, and with advancements in science and technology, hundreds of molecular tests and immunoassays were rapidly developed. I take pride in sharing that the Indian in vitro diagnostics industry, what we call the IVD industry, has truly been a trailblazer for all other industries to become self-reliant or Atmanirbhar in this pandemic. And also, I would like to thank in this connection the Indian Council for Medical Research, that is ICMR, which has validated 374 RT-PCR kits, of which 168 were approved, and validated another 127 rapid antigen test kits, of which 48 were approved. And the good news is that the majority of these kits are indigenously developed and manufactured. The country has done more than 55.5 crore tests for COVID-19 so far, with the help of 3,000 labs approved by ICMR for COVID-19 testing. Private diagnostic labs have been instrumental in achieving these huge figures. Today, out of 1,850 odd labs carrying out RT-PCR testing for COVID-19, more than 64% are private labs. As a point of inflection, our lab, that is Dr. Lal PathLabs, alone has done more than 25 lakh COVID RT-PCR tests, and I take great pride in the fact that we were the first private lab in India to be approached by ICMR and the union government to supplement the government's efforts in COVID-19 testing. Apart from tests to detect COVID-19, a set of allied COVID-19 tests became essential for triaging, treatment, and management of patients diagnosed with COVID-19. These included the CBC, the IL-6, the D-dimer test, the ferritin, CRP, and many other tests, including antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus, developed in response to infection and vaccination. And finally, also the genome sequencing to keep track of various strains of the virus. In terms of genome sequencing, India ranks 102nd across the world, testing only about 30,000 samples a month. And this needs to be increased to up to 75,000 samples a month. That is a 2.5-fold increase. Therefore, private labs must be roped in for COVID-19 genome sequencing as well. This is extremely important to discover new vaccines of new strains that we shall be confronted with. I am sure you all will agree that this is extremely important for India because India is the world leader in vaccine production. While the capacities for all these tests is being significantly enhanced, our ability to quickly detect the virus, identify the different strains at play, and assess the overall level of immunity in the population will remain key to our fight against this pandemic. For COVID has given a new fillip for growth and development to healthcare as a whole and diagnostics in particular. In the last 1.5 years, India has registered a 400% growth in the number of labs that started molecular testing. Sharing our own experience at Dr. Lal PathLabs, excuse me, from one molecular lab for the COVID testing at our National Reference Lab in Rohini in Delhi in the starting of the pandemic, today we have set up 20 molecular labs equipped for COVID testing, that is activating a new molecular lab every month since the start of the pandemic. By adopting the formula T3V, that is testing, tracking, treatment, and vaccination, we shall win the battle of COVID-19. It shall include a combination of improved testing, better tracking and isolation, provisions for health infrastructure to manage any further waves, and increased pace of vaccination. We should be able to sail through this pandemic. But beyond the pandemic, India still has an unfinished agenda of managing a dual burden of diseases. On the one hand, we have not yet been able to eliminate the age-old infections like tuberculosis that kills nearly one patient every minute, typhoid, HIV, AIDS, dengue, malaria, and many others. And on the other hand, the burden of the non-communicable diseases has risen as NCDs are responsible for 65% of deaths in India. Early diagnosis of both infectious and non-infectious or non-communicable diseases can considerably reduce mortality and morbidity. We know that in modern evidence-based medicine, 70% of all clinical decisions are made on the basis of a pathology diagnostic report. Therefore, one cannot overemphasize the importance of diagnostics. The government has also recognized the importance of ensuring diagnostic services at all levels of healthcare. Three notable developments in this context are: number one, Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers, or HWCs, that target to create 1.5 lakh HWCs across the country, with essential diagnostic listed as one of the key components of operationalization of these HWCs. Number two, in 2019, India became the first country in the world to compile a National Essential Diagnostics List, NEDL, which was an adaptation of the WHO's Essential Diagnostic List known as EDL. This effort was led by ICMR again and specifies the diagnostics tests to be made available at all levels of care, whether it is village level, primary healthcare level, or secondary or tertiary level. Number three, announcement of creation of public health labs in Union Budget 2021 and 22, and public health labs with expanded range of diagnostic services in 3,382 blocks across 11 high-focus states and integrated public health labs to enhance diagnostic capacities in all the 730 districts in India. Now the bad news. I would like to bring to the kind notice of this august audience that there are more than 3 lakh labs in India as reported by the Indian Express, and majority of them in the unorganized sector, which could be branded as pathology testing shops instead of pathology testing laboratories. All these can be reined in by government regulations in the form of adoption of Clinical Establishment Bill and then getting them accredited by NABL. Otherwise, they will give a bad name to our entire pathology and Indian diagnostic sector. To take up this dialogue with the government, to partner with the private diagnostic sector to ensure successful implementation of all these schemes and initiatives. Government spending on healthcare in India has been abysmally low, at less than 1.5% of the GDP. Therefore, we have to pool in funds and resources from all possible sources to make essential diagnostics available at all levels of care. One such additional source of funding can be unlocked if diagnostic companies are allowed to spend their CSR funds in enabling essential diagnostics of these 1.5 lakh HWCs or the public health labs to be created in the future. This can be made possible by providing an exemption or a clarification in the CSR rules for the health sector, as was done in the case of COVID-19. One such example of non-CSR philanthropic initiative is the personal foundation of ours, known as the ALVL Foundation, Arvind Lal Foundation, and we are working with the government of Uttarakhand as partners to develop 10 health wellness centers in Almora district in Kumaon as demonstration models of smart HWCs, making available essential diagnostics through a hub and spoke model in all these 10 HWCs is one of the key objectives of our project. The ground reality is that the diagnostics at primary healthcare level are severely lacking. Some of the primary health facilities we visited were doing only random blood glucose testing, and that too, they were allocated 25 testing steps for the entire year to cater to a population of 5,000 people. While our project on smart HWCs can provide a model for replication to bring the requisite scale for a country of 1.4 billion people, all stakeholders need to come together. Last but not the least, I would like to share with you 3 game changers that I believe will vastly help to make diagnostic sector future ready. Number 1, point of care or POC testing and lab on a chip LOC. Diagnostics for the masses will have to move from a centralized lab with complex analyzers, trained personnel, and long turnaround time, or TAT as we call it, to the point of care patients carried out by non-trained pathology personnel, generating results in a very short time. Within the POC testing domain, we are moving from the lateral flow assays to capillary-driven microfluidic chips. This has got huge potential to transform pathology in resource-constrained settings, especially in rural and remote areas. I hope Mr. Vazirani is listening. For example, one of the first companies that utilized a microfluidic concept for detection of COVID-19 is a Singapore-based Veredus Laboratories, where COVI, a portable lab-on-chip application, together with lab-on-a-chip platform, is capable of detecting and differentiating COVID-19 and SARS coronavirus in a single test. Integration of 2 powerful molecular based biological technologies like PCR or polymerase chain reaction and microarray gave the Verco V-chip accuracy and sensitivity. The second game changer can be the automation and digitization of all labs. Automation and diagnostic software are being commonly used in majority of the labs in the organized sector, but many tasks are still performed manually with no digital records in smaller standalone labs. And even where data is electronic, often it is in a format that cannot be exchanged with other systems. 80% of such data remains unstructured and unusable, but artificial intelligence-based software can yield structured, shareable, actionable data and mark the next big leap in the evolution of laboratory software. AI, automation, and digital technologies also have the answer to acute shortage of pathologists in India. I am told that there are only 6,000 qualified pathologists in India looking after 3 lakh labs. Therefore, telepathology holds the key to providing reliable, accurate, and efficient diagnostic services beyond Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. However, lack of clear guidelines on telepathology in India is hampering its growth potential. Since government released the telemedicine guidelines, teleconsultations in India have grown by a whopping 500%. So we advocate for telepathology to be recognized by the government. And last is advanced diagnostics for personalized medicine. Both clinicians and patients are increasingly realizing that one size does not fit all when it comes to treatment of complicated diseases and conditions. Advances in diagnostic tools are now empowering physicians to detect and quantify multiple biomarkers to understand individual patients' susceptibility to a particular disease, prognosis, or likelihood of responding to a specific treatment. Personalized medicine based on advanced diagnostics is already being practiced in the West and in specialty treatment centers in India, especially in cancer treatment. But this needs to be mainstreamed with the concerted efforts of the diagnostics and the healthcare sector stakeholders. In conclusion, I would like to say that COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of technology and innovations in healthcare at a pace never witnessed before. Therefore, there cannot be a more opportune time than this to bring in all reforms we have been talking about in healthcare. Thank you very much.
Um, Great speech, sir. I think you have covered a whole range of issues from technological to policy to various other angles. I think it was mind blowing, and in 15 minutes you have like covered the whole range of the subjects, which is fantastic. We are honored, and let me request our next speaker, Mr. N. Venkateswaran, who is the CEO of National Accreditation Board of for Testing and Calibration Laboratories, NABL, to kindly deliver your address. So over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Very, very good morning to everybody. And I'm really very happy to be a part of this program. And NABL has really supported this Diagnostic Leadership Summit first time also. This is the second edition where we are there with them. I mean, it's really very tough to speak. It's really very tough to speak after Dr. Arvind Lal ji, because the statistics and the way what he has seen the diagnostic sector and the way things are happening around, and probably it's very tough for me to speak after him, but nevertheless I'll try to do some justice on whatever he has told. What is that NABL is doing onto that portion, I'll just share that also. I mean, I should also thank Dr. Avinash Phadke, in fact Dr. Ravi Gaur, and Dr. Suresh Vazirani, being a part of this particular inaugural session. Thanks to Elets team also. NABL, what is that we are doing from accreditation body perspective? Because what he was telling is about the diagnostic sector as a whole. There are a lot of things to be done. And really very happy that during this pandemic time, even NABL also could step in to help and to adapt to the digitalization. What is that he was referring to? We did a lot of remote assessment, and more than 3,000 labs which are doing RT-PCR testing. Private labs, more than 1,500 labs are accredited. In an year span, we could do that. And I also should remember and thank all our assessors and all our accreditation committee members, all our NABL officers, and mainly support from the accredited labs. In fact, coming up, expanding their business, expanding the scope, offering for the public, and doing things. These are all a very, very big thing in the tough time, and all things have been done. And in fact, as an accreditation body, to curb all these fraudulent reports, we also started introducing this QR code system. Now we are just going ahead one step forward for blockchain concept also, so that the test reports or calibration certificates can be uploaded in that to have an authenticity, so that the fraudulent things, whatever it is happening, can get curbed. That's a small initiative what we tried to do it. And regarding point of care testing also, sir was talking about. I mean, we are also exploring how best possible for us to support to the industry, because as an accreditation body, we have to do a proper service and support the laboratories, so that the laboratories are able to function better and provide a customer proper service. So in that particular part, NABL also is able to do something. I still remember 2008-9 when we got feedback from them about lack of doctor community within NABL. Now we made a advisory group, and in all particular aspects, whatever we are doing, all our assessors are 100% MBBS, MD pathologist or microbiologist or biochemist. and the expertise level of NABL also has grown up to that extent. And in all our advisory groups or the accreditation committee, everywhere, at least from accreditation body angle is concerned, we could fulfill that particular gap. When we started doing SARS-CoV test initially, we didn't directly give an accreditation for that. We went inside from RT-PCR, whatever it is there for other viruses. Now we have upgraded and we have also come up and developed that we could directly give accreditation for SARS-CoV-2 labs. 15189 standard is there. It's very vast standard where it's very difficult to fulfill also. But within short span, how did NABL grant accreditation? That was a question mark from everybody, whatever they were having it into the mind. So last time also I told this particular thing. Yes, it is a tough task. It is a difficult thing. It's all one side of the coin. But what we did was, we focused only on the technical aspects. The sample was being given to the lab. We saw how the preliminary sample collections were being done. And then a testing portion was being seen. 3 to 4 hours, fully the assessors were seeing that. And then we saw about the sample disposal system also. And the focus was more on technical side. So we could cope up on that. And all our assessors, committee members, everybody, we worked day, night also. Because our audit system gets started in the evening, goes till the midnight. So to that extent, we also have put a lot of efforts onto that to convert things. What is that today we are able to see, and so much lacks of test where we are able to do it. I also believe this diagnostic sector will be having a good run moving forward. Actually, it has proved all kind of resilience in the face of difficult circumstances. Hats off to many chain labs where they came forward, took up the challenge, did it, and delivered it at right time. So our support is there for all the laboratories. And we have also started medical entry level testing labs where we call it as MELT, based on PT program. Wherever there are accreditation time is taking more, we started with a small kind of initiative. If a laboratory has already participated in a PT program and they are successful in that, then we started granting them recognition based on that particular things. And those scopes are limited scope and it is all fixed scope. It is not for specialized tests. We are also working on our modification of our NABL 112 document to make it at par with the international community so that whatever our accredited labs, Indian accredited labs are able to do it, that's all been acceptable worldwide. Recent kind of situations where we faced on for travelers abroad, we again intervened and then we could discuss with the authorities and find out what all the gaps are there, where the issues were there. As rightly told by Dr. Lal, the problems are happening because of some unscrupulous labs which are not doing good things, or maybe a new marketers who are coming into the system, not been regulated properly, or during audit time only things were available and rest of the time it was not there. So those kind of small things, what is that it is happening around is creating a large problem and the entire diagnostic sector is getting blamed. So we are also doing our surveillance mechanism we have increased upon. We have started doing a lot of unannounced audits also to ensure that these kind of things, whatever in one or other way it is going off, also can be brought in and we do a good service. And the turnaround time, whatever we were doing it for accreditation, that also has got improved now. The trust on labs is growing up. We have started accepting a lot of self-declaration by the labs, so that the labs' viewpoints are being accepted. Before there was a large hue and cry about authorized signatories. Now, if the existing authorized signatory recommends or they tell that they have seen it, we have started to accept those things. And then in subsequent audits, we are doing or we are checking it. Like that, lot of things. I mean, even the smallest thing, we have made a portal and we have made things into our website so that anybody can log in and submit an application so easily. I'm happy also to tell that we are fully 100% digitized on this. We are not running with hard copies or papers. So everything is now through portal. Assessments are being done through app. We are now capturing the locations of the lab, where the lab is in existence or not. That also we are looking into. So right from a sample collection till the end sample disposal, we are ensuring the accredited laboratories are meeting to the regulatory requirements as well as ISO 15189 requirements, and able to deliver things better. Still, a lot of things are there to be done. When I could note a point from what Dr. Arvind Lal has told. In fact, we are getting a lot of feedbacks also. We are doing regularly, every quarterly, we are doing stakeholders meeting to get the feedback from them, and what is their gaps are there we are trying to improve upon. Even our payment system and all has been made very foolproof and is all been made very transparent. Same way, we are not even assigning one particular officer so that the lab has to struggle or has to make kind of things with them. It's all been made in particular things. The transparency increased one, and everything is there in the portal, and lab can see directly from their own face. To that extent, we are trying to help to this diagnostic sector and hope to do still more better and provide better services also, so that the lab community feels that yes, NABL is also with them, supporting them and doing their good services. I want to thank for giving this opportunity to share some of the views from accreditation body angle, because NABL being an accreditation body, we are also signatory to Asia Pacific Accreditation Cooperation APAC as well as ILAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. We have completed we also get an evaluation done by APAC every 4 years. We just got completed in the month of February. And again, we could come out with no non-conformities. In fact, this time there were no concerns also. It's only 2 comments and minor comments on modification into our document, which we have did it immediately, and we got the accreditation. The MRA got renewed. Now we have got MRA for testing laboratories, calibration laboratories, medical testing laboratories, proficiency testing providers, reference material producers. So all the 5 sectors we have got it. Now we are venturing into biobanking also. Hopefully we'll be able to do that as well on this particular sector is concerned. Thank you once again for your patience listening, and hope to do better services so that this sector is gaining more, and we are also being a part of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venkateswaran ji. Excellent speech, and you have the kind of initiatives your organization is doing to regulate this sector is exemplary, and we are thankful and honored that an organization like NABL is doing its job so well. And let me, before I proceed further, I first of all I want to apologize. In my nervousness of like having so many doyens at the one place, I forgot to thank our scientific advisory committee for helping us like create this event. You have guided us, you have helped us develop the agenda, you have helped us identify the speakers. So let me formally thank Brigadier Dr. Arvind Lal ji, Venkateswaran ji, Dr. Avinash Phadke ji, and Dr. Ravi Gaur ji for being this member of the scientific advisory committee and helping us like develop this event. We are honored, and thanks to you. And I sincerely hope that as we are coming out of this COVID situation, perhaps when the cases are decreasing, we can actually do a physical meeting of the committee and have some discussion. Thank you so much. So let me request our next speaker, again an eminent expert and one of the most respected names in this diagnostic sector in the country, Dr. Avinash Phadke, who is the founder of Dr. Avinash Phadke Labs and president of SRL Diagnostics, to kindly deliver your address. Welcome, sir. You are on mute, sir, Dr. Avinash.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed the speeches before from eminent speaker, especially Dr. Lal and Mr. Venkatesh, and each one highlighted. Dr. Lal gave us a brief perspective of COVID testing and the phases we have gone through, especially in dealing with COVID crisis in India as far as diagnostic center is concerned. Mr. Venkatesh outlined whatever regulatory issues were there and how NABL has enabled so many labs maintaining the quality to start this program. And There is exponential growth, as Dr. Lal mentioned, of molecular sector. I also welcome and I'm happy to be with Mr. Suresh Vazirani, Ravi Gaur, and Dr. Gupta yourself. I will be speaking on 2 or 3 points, which are major changes where COVID has acted as a catalyst to enable us to face this change or has forced us to adopt this change. One, of course, is exponential growth of molecular. Now, molecular will not be restricted to COVID. Now it will be used for so many other diseases. You will have molecular tests for dengue, malaria, which are already in existence, but it will grow up exponentially because of COVID. Molecular labs are universally available, and there are a variety of other infectious diseases. Just like we have a closed system like BioFire giving us molecular diagnosis in a span of 1 hour for 20 different pathogens, the molecular labs will enable us to detect many more diseases like chikungunya, dengue, which are particular to our country. And this is a big change I am seeing, that acceptance of molecular technology as one of the major pillars of the industry will continue not only in COVID, but it will not be restricted to swine flu, COVID. It will get expanded to influenza A, influenza B, and as I mentioned, scrub typhus and so many other illnesses. That is one change. The second change was that we realized the importance of IT. Now, whether it's a QR code which has to be generated on each report, which is unique to each report for acceptance from various embassies or airline for foreign travel or in India, the IT, of course, everybody knew that IT is a business enabler, but COVID has accelerated the shift to such a great extent that when you now talk about diagnostic pathology lab, apart from talking about your quality control system, it will be also important to see how patient friendly is your IT system, how is your data security maintained, is it showing you past trends of the patient records, is your IT system capable of generating app-based digital sales? Is it possible via IT to directly approach the consumer, bypassing so many other middleman channels? Of course, doctors continue to be a very important channel, but there is a lot of wellness component which can be addressed with IT-enabled apps, and this is a second change which COVID has accelerated. So apart from exponential growth of molecular, apart from importance of IT, the third major shift the COVID has done is, like Dr. Lal has mentioned, that the labs which were doing COVID testing, the labs which are NABL accredited, the labs which came to service of not only colleagues and patients, but also in some way to the nation in terms of accepting various price caps and still at probably at very marginal profits conducting the COVID testing in prescribed timeline. As you would know that in Bombay or Delhi, there were times that daily COVID load in a given lab was 12,000, and the data entry on the portal used to take, say, 10 minutes each. And you can imagine the nightmare of the lab who had to employ so many contract laborers just to complete the data entry and face a lot of flack. Now, this has given advantage to organize NABL accredited branded labs over the ones who have failed to achieve this quality standard, have failed to achieve NABL. So in patients, and the NABL accreditation never was so important as it was for COVID, because you couldn't conduct COVID testing without NABL accreditation. So, and that differentiated these labs from others. And there was always a question asked that why should we do NABL? It's only for quality's sake or it has any commercial advantage? I think that question got answered in this epidemic, that it's only not only the quality which is different, it is also the branding which is different, and it's the patient perception which has changed. I won't take much of your time. and I look forward to listening the remaining eminent speaker. And thank you for inviting me. And thank you, Dr. Lal, Venkatesh, Suresh, Vazirani, and all the panelists who are part of this scientific committee. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Avinash. Excellent speech. And thanks for highlighting the acceleration of IT adoption because of the COVID situation. Very, very important point. And let me request our next eminent speaker and member of our scientific advisory committee, Dr. Ravi Gaur, who is the principal advisor of Spice Health and founder of G PathLabs. Welcome, Dr. Ravi. Over to you. I think you are not audible, sir. If you can look at the audio. If you remove the wires and like speak, maybe it will be better. Please remove the ear phone actually and speak on the computer. I think it will work. Uh, am I audible, Dr. Ravi? I think he's not able to listen to me. Nehal, if you can phone Dr. God and request him to remove the earphone. Okay. So by the time I think Dr. God is like fixing his audio issue, may I request our industry expert, I think my colleague like Nehal has phoned him and requesting him to